I still remember the smell of grilled corn and laughter floating through the summer air that day. It was supposed to be just another family barbecue, the kind where kids run around with sticky fingers and adults pretend they aren't keeping score. I was happy. I was safe. Or at least I thought I was. My name is Elena, and for 10 years I had been married to Marcus, the man I believed was my forever. His sister, Carla, and her husband, Derek, my brother-in-law, were the golden couple in our big, loud family. Derek was the one everyone turned to for advice, the strong, respected one with the big laugh and firm handshake. I admired him. I trusted him. That afternoon I was carrying a heavy tray of drinks across the backyard. The grass was uneven, my sandal slipped just a little, and my arm brushed lightly against Derek's shoulder as I passed. It was nothing. An accident. A split-second touch that meant absolutely nothing, but in that moment everything shattered. He spun around, his face twisted with rage I had never seen before. "Watch where you're going," he snarled. Before I could even apologize, his hand flew out and slapped me hard across the face. The tray crashed to the ground, glasses shattered, and then he grabbed my arm and threw me backward like I was nothing. I hit the patio hard. Pain exploded in my wrist. Gasps rippled through the family. Children stopped playing. My husband stood frozen 10 feet away, mouth open in shock. And Derek? He just stared down at me like I had ruined his perfect day. In that single heartbeat, the man I thought I knew became a stranger. And the family I loved began to choose sides. The days that followed were a blur of heartbreak and disbelief. My cheek burned for hours. My wrist was sprained, but the real pain was deeper. It lived in the silence that came after. At first, I expected Marcus to stand up for me. This was his brother-in-law who had just assaulted his wife in front of everyone. Instead, he pulled me aside that same evening and whispered, "Elena, you know how Derek gets when he's stressed. Maybe you did crowd him a little. Let's not make this a big thing." His words cut deeper than the slap. Carla, Derek's wife, called me the next morning crying. But not for me. She cried because this is tearing the family apart. She begged me to apologize to Derek so things could go back to normal. Apologize for being thrown like a rag doll after an accidental brush. I felt so alone. Nights I lay awake replaying that moment, wondering what I had done to deserve it. Was there something about me that invited violence? Had I misread the entire family for years? The shame settled heavy in my chest. I stopped going to family gatherings. I smiled through the group chats, but inside I was breaking. Then the rumors started. Someone said I had been drinking. Someone else claimed I had flirted with Derek earlier that day. Lies, all of it. But they spread fast in a family as tight as ours. Marcus began coming home later. He said I was overreacting and that I was making everyone uncomfortable. The man who once promised to protect me was now protecting the family's peace instead. That was when the shift happened inside me. The pain didn't disappear, it transformed. One quiet evening, sitting alone with an ice pack on my wrist, I whispered to myself, "I will not let them erase what happened to me." I started writing everything down. Dates, conversations, the messages where Carla asked me to just let it go. I saved screenshots. I spoke to a therapist, and slowly, I began to see the truth. This wasn't just about one slap. It was about a family culture that protected the powerful and silenced the hurt. The more I pulled at that thread, the more things unraveled. I discovered Derek had a temper that everyone had quietly covered up for years. Other small incidents, other women in the extended family who had been brushed off. No one wanted to rock the boat. Until I decided the boat needed to sink. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I simply started speaking my truth calmly, clearly, and with evidence. First, I sent a long message to the entire family group chat. Not angry, just honest. I described exactly what happened that day at the barbecue. I included photos of my bruised face and swollen wrist. I asked one simple question. If this had happened to your daughter or your sister, would you still ask her to stay quiet? The chat exploded. Carla called me in tears again, this time angry. Derek sent a long message calling me dramatic and unstable. But something beautiful happened. The younger cousins, the nieces, even some of the aunts started speaking up. They shared their own stories. The family that had always protected Derek suddenly had to look at itself in the mirror. Marcus finally had to choose. One night he came home and found me packing a bag. I told him I loved him, but I would not live in a house where my pain was negotiable. The look on his face when he realized I was serious. That was the first real consequence. Derek's actions created. In the end, the family took sides, but not the way Derek expected. A quiet intervention happened. Derek was asked to get anger management help and step back from family events for a while. Carla separated from him temporarily. And Marcus? He chose me. He went to therapy with me. He stood beside me when I set new boundaries. I didn't destroy Derek's life. I simply refused to let him destroy mine. And in doing so, I exposed something rotten that had been hiding behind Sunday barbecues and family photos for years. Today, the backyard gatherings are quieter, but they're more honest. I sit with my head held high. My wrist healed. My heart is still mending, but it's stronger now. I look at my nieces and I tell them, your voice matters. Your pain is real. Never let anyone convince you to shrink so others can stay comfortable. If you're watching this and carrying a similar wound, a slap, a betrayal, a moment where someone you trusted showed you who they really were, know this. You don't have to burn everything down. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is refusing to stay silent and choosing to protect yourself with dignity. I'm Elena. I was thrown down that day, but I got back up, and I'm still standing. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, please share it with someone who needs to hear they're not alone. Drop a comment with the word standing if you've ever chosen yourself after betrayal. I read every single one. Until next time, protect your peace. End of script. This script is written for emotional delivery, perfect for pauses, soft music under the hook and ending, and a more intense underscore during the midsection. It builds naturally from shock to empowerment while staying true to the title and your channel's dramatic storytelling style. Ready for any adjustments?